You probably suck at lighting low poly cartoony maps, let's be honest. Even though I've been a developer for about 3.5 years now, it took me probably about 2 years to actually learn how to light low poly cartoony maps, and there's a good reason for this. This is the default Roblox lighting here, it's just not meant for low poly cartoony maps with a bright aesthetic. So in today's tutorial, I'm going to be giving you a full free guide on how I light my maps. Now, full disclaimer, the exact settings that I give you today are not going to work on all low poly maps. However, I'll tell you exactly what I'm thinking when I light my map, so you can tweak the colors and settings onto your own. This video is not about copying someone else's settings. You've probably done that before. This video is about teaching you how to actually make your own to fit your map. So I've shown this map on the channel before, and it was actually with lighting, but I didn't go through step by step exactly how I would light it. So right now we have default Roblox lighting. I'm just going to go through and delete that everything Roblox gives you. Now, the first step to lighting any map is getting a high quality skybox. There's this skybox that I have. I don't remember where I got it. Might have gotten it from a friend, might have gotten it from the toolbox, not sure, but I use it on every map. You can see that this skybox is very simple, it's low poly, it fits the colorful aesthetic. I'll be giving away this skybox for free in my Discord server. Again, I didn't make it, I'm not sure where it's from, but it's in my hands, and if you want it for free, it'll be in the resources channel in the Discord server. Go join, completely free. Next, you want to insert a couple of different things into your lighting settings. Apart from skyboxes, I generally only use 2 effects. Of course you can use more, but you really don't need that much for simple scenes. A lot of the lighting settings that Roblox includes are for realistic scenes, which we're not doing today. So all I use, apart from a skybox, is a color correction effect and an atmosphere. I'm just going to delete the atmosphere for now so we can actually see what we're doing, and we're going to dive into the main settings here. Alright, so ambience, what is this? Well, this is the color of the outside of your world. So what actually is the ambience? Well, it's kind of like an undertone color that is available throughout your whole world, indoors and outdoors. You see, if I change this color, mainly the shadows change their tint. However, if you make it brighter like this, the entire world is going to change in color. This is very important. You want to choose what theme you're going for your game. Some common ambient colors that I see, the 2 most common, the first is blue, I've used this a lot, as well as orange, I've used this a lot. Also, plenty of people just go for white, usually a grayer version of white. Now, you need to decide what you want to do for your map. Personally, this is an outdoor map with a lot of earthy colors, so I'm going to go for an orange. Here, I've selected a nice orange color that I think will go well with the map. Brightness is important, but we're going to leave that until later because I have a very special trick I'll show you at the end of the video that you won't want to miss. Color shift bottom and top. Even though I am pretty decent with lighting now, I rarely actually touch these settings. Now, it's pretty self-explanatory. This is going to change how the top and bottom of some models will look. It's literally changing just the top of these models. Even though this can be helpful, I don't use it. Don't worry about it for now. Environmental diffuse and environmental specular, 2 overlooked settings. I would recommend adjusting these at the end. However, I like to have diffuse up and then specular down a bit. On some maps I've made, I actually turned specular to 0. So I recommend playing with these settings after the rest of your lighting is done to see what works for your map. There's also going to be outdoor ambience. So this is just the color of the outside, not the inside. This will work differently to normal ambient. I'm not exactly sure how to explain it, but if you go through and you just scroll the colors up, you can see it works slightly differently. For this, I'm also going to go with a nice earthy warm orange. Like I said, if your map is not the same style as mine, you might want to go with like a blue or a white. Shadow softness, it depends. For me, I personally like to have this all the way up on low poly maps. I think it gives just a softer edge to all the models, which is generally what you're looking for. If that's not what you're looking for, then make the shadows a little harsher. It's fully up to you. I also just changed the clock time a little bit to be more overhead. You can scroll through the clock time, see what works on your map. Some maps will work better with sideways lighting. I prefer above head for this map because it's a daytime scene, but it's up to you. Because this is a sunny outdoor theme, I'm going to put 0.1 of exposure. But if you have a low poly scene which like isn't in the same style, I honestly would leave exposure at 0. Now that's all we're going to touch for today in these main settings. Now we're going to move over to color correction. Color correction is where your low poly map really starts coming together. Like I said, I was going to touch on brightness later. Here's one of my favorite tips for lighting low poly scenes. There's 2 types of brightness, one in color correction and one in normal lighting. What's the actual difference here? Well, in the normal lighting settings, the brightness is going to change the strength of the physical sun, whereas in color correction, it'll be like changing the brightness of a image in Photoshop. It's not actually making the sun physically brighter, but it's making the whole screen brighter. So for low poly maps with shadows, you don't want them as harsh. What I do is I turn down brightness a lot to 1 or something similar, and then I go to color correction and I turn the brightness up a lot. Now obviously this looks washed out, but it means these shadows aren't going to be as harsh. To compensate for the washed out look, I'm going to go to the saturation and put it all the way up to 0.9. You can see this is making the map very bright. But to balance that out again, you also need a bit of contrast. For this map, I'm going 0.15, but your settings will vary. Now this looks okay, but it's not really put together. And so my next step might work for your map, or it might not work for your map. It really depends. Personally for this one, I will put in atmosphere. Now this is very, very harsh for atmosphere. You'd rarely want your map to be this foggy unless you're going for a realistic scene. So I'll go into the atmosphere here and I'll change a couple of the settings. The color of the atmosphere doesn't actually matter, I don't think. I've never seen this actually change how things look. Just ignore this state part, it doesn't really make a difference in your map. Like, see, I'm changing these settings, it might put up the haze, but you don't want haze, so just don't touch these settings here in state. All you really need to worry about is density and offset. So I'm going to reduce the density so it's not as extreme, and then I'm going to change the offset to 0.25. Now you can see what the density actually changes in your map here. And the offset changes this. It's kind of hard to explain, but just tweak it around until you find something that looks good for you. Another setting which I didn't actually dive into in this video is tint color. Again, this is a post-processing effect. So whereas the ambient colors and the outdoor ambient colors change stuff on the physical map, this tint color will actually just overlay onto the whole screen, like changing the tint of an image in Photoshop. So you could combine some looks here, give it a weird tint, make it a little blue, little yellow, more orange. It really depends what look you want to go for. I will make this slightly blue just to put in some undertones there. I'm also just going to put in a little bit of orange here. You can see the difference that makes is not extreme. And that's pretty much everything that I personally do when I'm lighting a scene. Again, you need to make decisions and tweak settings until it looks good for your map, because my settings won't match your map perfectly. If you want any custom help with lighting your scene, any questions, join my Discord server. There's a help channel. I try to answer all questions that are in there. I understand how difficult it is to light maps, especially as a beginner, so I really do just want to help people out. If you have any questions, again, join up, it's free. Also, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like and subscribe. Not that many people who watch my videos are actually subscribed, and I'm a small channel, so it really helps me out. Also, I want to apologize if my voice sounded a little bit weird in this video. I actually got sick, recovering, and I'll have more videos soon. See ya.